Welcome to another episode of the Meal Prep Monday podcast. I'm your host, Allison Schaaf, and today I'm talking about some meal prep ideas that have been popping into my mind recently. So I'm just going to jump right in. The meal plans at Prep Dish. So we have now 4 different styles of meal plans. We have gluten-free, paleo, super fast, and then a low carb plan. And, we have a team. I'm not the one, I'm not going to take credit for doing all of that. We have a team of people that are, creating the recipes, testing the recipes, editing the recipes, putting everything together, making sure it ends up in your inbox or in your login each week. And in creating these, new recipes for every week, there's a whole system and process that has to happen. And one of those is testing out the meal plans. So, one of the recipe creators will basically have kind of 2 that are creating recipes. And, she can do a pretty good job of kind of knowing, like putting it together, but then she likes to have kind of this checks and balances where someone else is testing it. And a place that we've evolved to that is really kind of cool is that we have a pretty small but mighty team here at Prep Dish, but I think everyone on the team is now testing meal plans, and I'm going to include myself in that category. I am not always the first one to test the plans, so I'm always using our meal plans. Let me say that, but I am not usually the one testing them because, well, that's just not something I am great at. I am not great at following a recipe in the beginning. I created every single recipe, every single meal plan that Prep Dish put out, so I can do it, but being forced to kind of measure everything, record, set a timer, record all of that. That's just not my style of cooking. And it's not, it's not my strength, even though, when I have to, I will do it. So I am usually not the first one that gets sent meal plans to test, but I am doing some testing right now. So I thought I would share with you some of the thoughts that I had come to mind yesterday when I was testing out I was testing one of the summer plans. And there's always little things. And, just over time, each time we're creating these meal plans, we're always trying to look for little tweaks to just make things easier, right? Any way that we can save all of you time or money or make things more efficient and easier. We're just looking for those things. But of course, we want to keep, taste at the forefront. We want these to be meals that you can enjoy and are super healthy and all of the things. So all of this we're keeping in mind as well. But 4 things that came to my mind yesterday as I was doing the prep. So it was a super fast plan. So our super fast plans are all of them, the meal prep required is an hour or less. That's basically our goal with those is to keep the prep time super quick. And one of the ways we do that is using pre-chopped vegetables as we can. So for example, using a bag of pre-chopped broccoli versus chopping the broccoli yourself. And, so that helps. But the tip here is as I was chopping, I realized one of the ways my mind works is I'm always okay, how can I make this process of chopping more efficient? So for example, I had skinny little zucchinis. And so instead of just chopping them into coins, but instead of doing just one at a time, I lined them up and did, kind of 2 at a time. And then at the end, I was well, can I fit, if I use my big chef's knife, can I fit in 3? Because they were so small. And turns out I could. And I'm huh. So I think just naturally, as I'm chopping, I'm always trying to kind of line things up and see if I can make it more efficient. And I don't know, I don't even think I'm consciously doing it. So I don't know if it's just my competitive nature or something coming out, and I have no idea if all of you at home are doing the same thing. I'm sure some of you are, but if not, this can be a way to just kind of, next time you go to chop something, think through, is there an easier way to do this? And that was something with my experience of, 1, going to culinary school, and then 2, working in multiple kitchens, is seeing other people was always really interesting to me because I noticed that every chef cuts a bell pepper differently and they all kind of think their way is the best, but maybe some of them haven't even tried other ways. So I kind of like to see how other people do it and, what's the reasoning behind that. And a lot of times it's just well, that's how I've always done it. So that's something to think about. And then Number 2 idea was not a new idea, but this particular meal plan used one sauce. This is a tinga sauce, and I don't think we've had that before in any of our plans, but I could be wrong. But using it, making it once and then using it for 2 items throughout the week. So tried and true hack, but that's always a good idea if you're going to go through the effort of making like a really yummy, delicious, healthy sauce. Double it up and use it for at least 2 items. Sometimes I'll triple it or quadruple, use it, twice that week, stick it in the freezer to use, later on in the month or something like that. Okay, the third tip, make sure you're starting with lengthier prep items in the beginning. This is something we do for you on the meal plans. Like so for example, yesterday I needed to bake some chicken breast. So that's listed first on the list. But, and this is a 2-part. So number 3 is kind of 3A and B. So 3A is to like start with the lengthier prep item first and just get it started right away. So like I started that like 30 minutes before I even started my meal prep because I knew it would take some time. So I got that in the oven right away. And then my next step was what I call, well, not me, I did not term this, it's French, but it's called mise en place. And that's basically setting out everything you're going to need so you are prepared and ready to like get into your prep time. I really encourage you to start with mise en place, but the exception is if there's like this lengthy item, like a spaghetti squash or sweet potatoes, or like something that needs to bake or cook, like the rice or something like that, get that item started first. Like get the lengthier item started right away and then mise en place. So mise en place is like the first thing, but with the caveat of like doing the really lengthy thing first if there is something like that you're doing. And then the mise en place is setting things out. Like I read through the ingredients list, pull out all the spices I'm going to need, all the vegetables, put them by my cutting board, get my trash bowl. And, I have a whole episode on mise en place, but it's so important to do to just make sure once you get started, you can just kind of knock things out really quickly. And okay, 4th idea is to do meal prep right before a meal. And not right before to where you're rushed, but so for this super fast plan, they take about an hour. So do it, an hour, either if it's during the week, I'll do it the hour before dinner. On the weekends, sometimes I'll do it, an hour before lunch. But I find that there's a lot of these efficiencies that are created if I'm like just wrapping up the meal prep, but then also getting dinner on the table. Then I'm kind of like doing dishes as I'm getting the, dinner on the table. And it doesn't feel like I'm just stuck doing dishes, if that makes sense. Like I'm also like creating another meal. You can, of course, also use one of the meals that you've just done with your meal prep at that next meal. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to like store it away, create, another dish of a, container to put it in the fridge. You can just, take one of the dishes and like put them straight to the table. So if possible, I do like to, time my meal prep so that it's right before a meal and it can just kind of glide right into the meal. But you do have to be a little cautious with that of making sure that you're not too rushed or hectic at meal times. The whole point of meal prep is to make sure that your mealtime is not hectic. So anyway, but those are my 4 tips. And if you are a longtime Prep Dish subscriber, hopefully there's something in here. Maybe you had a little aha on something. But if you have not tried our meal plans, then I would encourage you to get on and sign up. You can try just, the link is prepdish.com/podcast just to try 1 week. So that week is a really fast, easy, like a lot of like our team members' favorite recipes. Like we kind of, hey, what are the favorite recipes? So if you want to just try like 1 week, that's all of the favorites and really easy, go to prepdish.com/podcast to download that free week. You can also text the number 33777, the word meal prep, all one word, to get that free week as well. Or if you want to try us out for 2 weeks and try a bunch, look at all of our different meal plans, have a login, get to try the super fast, the gluten-free, kind of see the difference in all the different styles of meal plans. Go to prepdish.com/NPM, and that's how you can get a 2-week free trial, and you'll have access. If you do the premium option, you'll have access to all of our archives and just be able to really see everything that we have to offer. So those are the options there for trying out the Prep Dish meal plans. Thank you for joining me today. I will be back again next Monday with another episode.